Hey, what's up? It's Mary Jane. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please like the video. It'd be greatly appreciated. Basically, I'm going to be talking about the movie The Shack. I'm not knowledgeable. I'm not a metaphysicist. I'm not a religious person or anything like that. Yes, I did grow up in the church because I'm from the South. So I grew up in the church. Was there 24/7, 7 days a week or whatever. Had to read scriptures at home, all that good stuff. But basically, I'm just a regular person that's reviewing this movie, and I'm just gonna tell you what I think or whatever. So I'm not gonna really go in on the movie chronological order. Basically, I'm just gonna point out some things that I thought that was interesting to me, or whatever I thought it was when I first seen it. So basically, you have this guy named Mac. He's going on a camping trip with his 3 kids. He has 2 teenager kids and 1 small daughter, Missy. I believe her name is Missy, and his wife Jill and Mac or whatever. So they're traveling to go camping for the summer or whatever. And so basically, you know, one of the teenage kids is like, yo, Dad, tell Missy about the story about the princess and all this other stuff. Then you see the waterfall. So he tells this story about the princess to his daughter, and he continues to tell her the story when they get to the campsite, and when she's laying down in the bed, that, you know, she sacrificed, the princess sacrificed her life for her family and everything. Kind of reminds me like of a Oshun story. So that stuck out to me basically. And then, you know, the 2 teenager kids were in the water, and it was on a canoe basically, and they were playing around, and the teenage daughter, and he has a teenage son, they were on a canoe, but they did have on life jackets, and the daughter got on top of the canoe and she was shaking the boat or whatever, and so the boat fell over, and the son was stuck under the boat through his life vest, was stuck under the boat, under like the boat or whatever, inside the boat thing where you can hold or whatever. So the father sees this, he runs to go save his son and rescue his son basically. But in the meantime, while he's doing that, there's a bunch of kids at this camping site. There's a bunch of families at this camping site as well. But basically, his daughter's sitting at the picnic table. There goes the motorcycle. Basically, his daughter's sitting at the picnic table, and then once he rests, somebody takes the daughter away. She has been kidnapped or whatever. And so once the father rescued the son, saves his life, you know, give him CPR or whatever, and he turns around, he can't find his daughter. And another guy that's at the campground, he can't find his 2 daughters, but he ends up finding his 2 daughters. But Mac is not able to find his daughter Missy. She's disappeared. They called the cops, blase and the third, and now they're setting up this big thing to look for the daughter. But basically, when I saw that part, I immediately came to my mind was he had to choose between his kids, and he chose his son. I'm just saying, that's just what came in my mind at that time, that if he would have waited or got help from somewhere else, maybe his son would have passed anyway. But if he stayed and didn't go rescue his son, like say if he couldn't swim or whatever, his daughter would still be alive, Missy, and his son would be deceased. So that's a hard decision to make. But it almost seems like he had to pick between the 2, just like you pick between good and bad, you know? That basically, that's what I thought at that point when I was watching it or whatever. And so then after that, you know, they find the daughter, not the daughter, but they find like remnants of the daughter, like, you know, her jacket or whatever, where it was red, and, you know, you smell bugs around. So basically, they think the daughter is dead, but they can't find her basically, but she is dead or whatever. But the parents and the family don't know this. So basically, Mac is suffering through pain. His wife is suffering through pain, and both of his 2 teenagers are suffering through pain because Missy's gone, and they all blame themselves in some shape, form, or way or whatever. But so basically, Mac is, you know, he's at home, he checks the mailbox, and then his mailbox is like, you know, a mailbox can almost be like a realm, basically, where, like, if you go back in the old days when they didn't have mailman or whatever, they used birds to carry messages back and forth. I'm talking about Game of Thrones, basically. So anyway, that's what I'm saying. Don't take no stock in my review like that. Don't think this is all a history lesson or whatever, because it's not. So anyways, that's what I So when I seen the mailbox, and the mailbox is black and it's like a hole when he grabs the letter out, and basically it was, you know, a letter talking about his daughter, I guess him returning back to the campsite or back to the shack. And basically, you know, Mac doesn't understand this sign. So basically he goes to the post office and he finds out that the postman said if it doesn't have a stamp on, it wasn't delivered by us. He asks his neighbor. His neighbor is like, nah, I didn't do that. I wouldn't do anything like that. But basically Mac doesn't tell his wife or anybody else about the note. So Mac plans to go back to the campsite, and he does. Basically, he tries to get his friend to come, but he bounced on his friend, you know, left him in dust. Because basically, he had to travel on this journey alone, and he couldn't travel on this journey with anybody. So basically, you know how sometimes you have to do things alone, you have to stand alone, or like when you was born in this world by yourself and you're going to die in this world by yourself. Basically, I was picking that up from it. And then him choosing to face anything and everything on his own, basically, when he goes back to the shack. So basically, on his way to the shack, four-wheeler truck basically hits him, but it doesn't show you at that time it does hit him. It seems like he's driving or whatever, but basically he's in a dream state because he is not conscious right now. He's in the hospital, but we don't know this as the viewers. We just see like, okay, the truck missed him and he's traveling to his way. So basically he's in a state where he's susceptible to a lot of different things. He's in a dream galaxy. You know, when they say when you dream you travel to different dimensions. That's the best way to travel to dimensions. That's what people say. And people also say, like, you know, when you have dreams, write them down, because your dreams are informational. They guide you, they tell you things and all that other good stuff, basically. So we don't know yet that he's actually in a coma. But so anyways, he carries on to the campsite. He gets to the campsite. It's freezing cold, as snow everywhere. So basically he gets to the shack. He's in the shack. He sees where his daughter's at. He lays on the ground. Basically he feels that he's close to her, he's next to her and all that good stuff. But then he hears a noise outside, and there's a guy walking down through the mountain. And then Mac is thinking he's gonna sneak up on this guy as this guy passed him. The guy was like, hey, come down to my house where the fire is at. Basically, come to humanity, come to God, come to my house and eat. Let's be merry together, basically. And so, but this guy, I believe his name is Joseph in the movie. If not, other people said that he stands for Jesus because he walks on water in the movie. So anyways, this guy, so Mac doesn't shoot him because Mac has his gun, you know, ready to fire or whatever. Because basically, I believe at that time, I was thinking that maybe Mac thought that this guy is a guy that kidnapped his daughter, basically, or murdered his daughter, because he's believing that his daughter is murdered. And everybody else do believe that as well. And they did have a funeral service for his daughter Missy, but it was nobody inside the casket, basically. So, and I think I gotta go to my notes now. So anyways, he goes inside the house or whatever. He goes inside the house with this guy, which is supposed to be Jesus or stand for Jesus in some way. But this guy could also stand for Horus. This guy can also stand for, you know, anybody, basically. Anybody with any type of religion or culture that is the God in their culture, or the Most High in their culture, can say that this guy, Joseph, which is Jesus, is that guy if they wanted to, you know. It's up to you to interpretate the movie the way you want to interpretate it, basically. So anyways, he goes into the house and he meets Alusha, basically, and then he meets Sirion, and she's supposed to be the breath, you know, the air that breathes, the wind beneath your breath. Basically, she breathes life into you, I guess, basically, in my opinion. And then, you know, Lushan is supposed to be, you know, the Almighty, is supposed to be God, basically. And it's a black woman, basically, which could be Oshun, which could be Set, which could be Baphomet, which could be any, like, person you want it to be, basically. In my opinion, I don't know. So it's like, you know, because since they are portraying God as a woman, but if you look into like different aspects of other people's religion, they say that, you know, the all is the one, which is a man and woman, basically. You know, I believe when they said Adam and Eve, when they created Eve, they used parts of Adam's body, basically. So wouldn't that make them one, basically, if I'm right? Because it's been so long since I read the Bible. And then when you say like Isis and Osiris, basically a Nephthys and Osiris, and they also say Shango as filled with the woman energy as well. So they say you can't just have all male dominant and all female. You have to have both, which is the feminine and the masculine energy together as one, which creates one. So that's why I guess they all say that they are God. But it also could be she's being God, because there's three of them. God, no, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. So someone's the Holy Ghost or whatever. So basically, Sirian, she breathes in life, and she collects your tears or whatever, your pain, your healing. She heals it, basically, and she holds on to it, basically. And they do have a root called job tears or whatever. People use that root or whatever for different properties. And it also makes sense that, like, she's like, so anyways, as Mac is going through to the house or whatever, you know, it's warm, it's nice, it's like a sunset. It almost looks like paradise. It almost looks like the old South, basically. And the lady that is Lucia, she looks like, you know, she could be Mimi Waters, basically, or Mama Waters. And or she could be Auntie Mammy, basically. But basically that figure of, like, because the house is like a cabin, it's in the woods, it reminds you of the South. Well, basically when the black woman took care of, you know, the white man and his kids, and she was like the nanny, the mother, she can heal as well. She had foreseen knowledge back in the day or whatever. Basically, they would call on her before they call a doctor. And some history books and some history classes I took long time ago. So anyways, you have that or whatever, and then I believe his name is Joseph, but he's Jesus because he walks on water. But anyways, Matt goes and he's walking in the garden with Sirion, something like that. I call her the lady that carried the tears, and they're like in the garden. It looks like the Garden of Eden, you know what I mean? But then if we go back to the Egyptian cultures, they had gardens like that as well. In the Roman times and mythological times, they had gardens like that as well. They had different plants and all types of stuff that don't even grow anymore today in the world. So, but anyways, or Spain, Africa. So anyways, you know, Sirion is taking Mac through the garden or whatever, and she's asking him for help to rake the garden or whatever. So basically, to me, like, raking the garden was like him, you know, raking part of himself, him healing part of himself by doing that, being one with nature, being one with Mother Nature, being one with the earth, to heal, basically. And then, you know, so then he was about to pick one of the plants or whatever, and Sirion says, "Oh, that's poison, be careful," or whatever. And then she goes, "So why is there poison? Why is there could be something to hurt me or whatever, something that bad?" You know, because he's still on this spiritual journey, because he's unconscious now. So this is all in his head, really, if you want to say that. So when he's with Sirion, and she goes, "No, but this plant right here heals," and I guess it combats that. So it's like everything has a duality, basically. Everything has a negative and there's a positive, basically. There's a cause and there's effect. So below, I'm below, so below something. Look at me. I'm trying to remember all this stuff that I used to learn or whatever. As below, so above. Somebody's gonna get on me, but I'm not acting like I know. I'm just saying things that just stood out to me at the time, what I thought that came to mind when I was saying this, whatever. So basically, she kind of answered his question, like there's always a cause and effect of something, basically. Just because this one's poison, but we have something good, just like you have good and evil, basically. And basically just trying to work with him and his mind, basically. And basically her collecting the tears is like, it was like, you know, collecting your spirit, collecting your soul. It could be that as well. And basically when he asked them, are they God or whatever, and they said that we all are God. And then when she said, you can call me Papa, that's what Nana calls me, whatever. And it's like, I was thinking of Papa Cando, I was thinking Papa Elegba, you know, the gatekeeper, Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, Archangel Gabriel, Archangel Uriel, basically thinking about like the gatekeepers, people that open the door or whatever. So I was thinking about that as well when I was watching. I was like, oh, it's kind of reminiscent of so many different things that's mixed in. Basically on how you want to take it. I don't think it's like a movie that's trying to brainwash you, but if you're in a religion where you don't supposed to see false idols, false gods, and you're supposed to look at things that try to test whatever your religion is, then maybe it's not the movie for you. But to me, it's just like any other movie, basically. And it also stood out to me that the lady that was God, that's black or whatever, Alusha, was like, it was weird how they said that, you know, like she was God, the black woman was God, but inside the black woman, it's also the black man in some ways. So it's like one as well. But like, since she can give birth, they portrayed her as the God as well, because basically they did show like a picture from NASA that had released, and it was showed in like a figure of a face figure, and it was like, this is the oldest image of a black woman as well, like, and then they was dissecting the body or whatever, and I don't know if they were Sumerian or I forgot what it was exactly. So it kind of brought me back to that thought. But I would have to go collect my notes and books and stuff like that, things like that. So it's like the mother of the earth, the mother of nature. So I'm thinking that's what they're trying to depict, or they could be trying to depict something else as well, or they're saying that the original God is the people with melanin or whatever. So it could be any way you want to look at it, basically. But like I said, if you're in a deep religion, whatever, and you're supposed to do this or do that, and you have your 10 commandments, then you probably shouldn't watch it, or you probably would think it's blasphemy, you know what I'm saying? So anyways, you know, basically they was happy that he accepted the invitation to come and all that good stuff. So it was like, so what else did I remember? And then the part where, you know, Joseph or Jesus brings Mac to the water or whatever, and Mac sticks his hand in the water. Basically, he sees the images of his son drowning. He's trying to save his son, but it's in his head is an image that appears in the water, and then he sticks his hand in and become black. Basically, I thought the black hand of death, the death within him, because he kind of died when his daughter disappeared and was kidnapped, and not knowing the answer anymore. So he was dead inside. So everything around him was dead and black. But black is a beautiful color. You know what I mean? I don't know why black has to be the bad thing. But anyways, but that's just my perception of it. It could be totally off. So anyways, so with that, you know, Max started to get scared. The boat started shaking and like crumbling or whatever. So then, you know, he had to call out for help from Joseph or Jesus. Jesus came and walked on water to save him. Then once he accepted Jesus, he was able to walk with Jesus, and he trusted in Jesus. I was thinking basically once he trust in himself and trust what he believes around him, that he was able to walk with Jesus on the water, but they only could walk on the water together, basically. So anyways, you know, in the Bible it says when Jesus walked on water, and then all that other good stuff. Then you got the Nile River as well. Then also the ladybugs. The ladybug stands for luck, knowledge, wisdom, you know, abundance of luck, and it also goes back to Egyptian times, basically, as well as the ladybug was considered as luck. And then you got the Celtics or whatever, they believe it's a mythological god, the Lady of Luck or whatever that some people believe in. I was also thinking Mary Magnet could be the job tier lady. as well as Sirion. I was thinking she could be Mary Magna as well. Like, you can fit so many different characters or so many different energies into this movie that it's up to your interpretation, basically. And there's a profound interpretation, whoever made the movie, guess whatever they feel, or it was just to incite an audience, just to incite people, to get people talking, and then you make another movie, another book, and it becomes number one again, basically. Because you gotta have critics. So anyway, so that kind of like stood out to me as well. And I guess it was like, and Mac was just talking to Jesus, like, losing sight, for him to lose his pain and things like that. And Mac was like, how can you help anybody? How can you help people, whatever? How are you God when, all these terrible tragedies go on? And what happened to me and my family? How is there a God? How are you supposed to like move on? Move forward in life or whatever. You want me to trust you, but you ignore the people that are calling out to you for help, basically. And I guess so. The movie was mad long. So also in the beginning, before Jesus and Joseph and Mac walked on water, whatever, Mac was like, I feel so comfortable around you. And then Joseph says, because I'm like you, I'm human, and that's why you feel the most comfortable around me. So is it because Jesus lived once upon a time, or Horus lived at one point in time, or Osiris lived at one point in time, or so they can relate on that type of level, basically. So it was a lot of different things that kind of did stand out to me, and some things were just, okay, this just is going, basically. And basically, as they leave the area where the water's at in the boat, they're going towards the house, and I guess the song Neil Long is playing, whatever. It's almost like, it sounded like to me like it could have been folk and kind of like rock and roll music or soul music as well. And Alusha was dancing, basically. And when I saw that, I thought that she was dancing to the she was dancing to black music, like black folk, or because they say music heals. And also when you dance, the bottom of your feet is where you have Kundalini energy. So her Kundalini energy was rising at the time, basically. So that's what I was thinking as well. And they say a lot of the gateways is through music, because music relaxes you, it calms you, it can evoke a feeling in you, just like when you listen to Christian music or different types of music or meditation music. It invokes a feeling in you where you can feel the peace and the calms, and all your worry goes away, basically, like medicine, basically. So that's what I thought when I saw that as well. And I thought like the music was like eternal life. And then him looking through the window, and the window being open is where like he can go, spirits can come in and out, God can come in and out, the window, and it being open, and you can see through it, that it's clear, it's a clear vision, and his peace is that's what I thought when I saw it, or the fairies can come in and out or whatever. And so, so then, what's his name? He talks about, what did he say that was, he was talking about like working on the pain and the suffering, and he was talking about sin. And then also, it almost like they were saying like the Bible was incomplete. Mac was almost like, when he was talking to Joseph, like the Bible was incomplete, like it didn't have all the answer. It was like a half of a book, but it doesn't have all the answer. Basically, you have to trust in yourself. I was picking that up from it as well. And Matt was talking about all the pain and the suffering, and about sin or whatever. And it was like, there's no such, I believe it was Lucia was saying, there's no such thing as sin or whatever, basically there's no good, there's no bad, it's just what's happening. And there's no such thing as a heaven or a hell. We all go to a place, we all go to the same place basically, but it's how you descend to that place. That's what I was picking up from whoever Mac was having a conversation with at the time. Like I said, the movie was mad long, so it was like, you know, was he talking to Sarion, the teardrop lady or whatever, but she does collect his tears or whatever. And so it was like, there's no good or evil, because, you know, if you punish, I think it was Sarion that he was talking to, and he was inside the shack, a bigger shack or whatever, like a garage, but old school garage or whatever. And then basically I think Mac had to choose, like she was asking Mac to choose between which kid do he want to go to heaven and which kid do he want to go to hell. And he goes, I don't want either one of my kids to go to hell. And she was like, you have to pick one basically. And he was like, nah, I'll sacrifice myself. So basically him sacrificing himself kind of show like the undoing, what do you call it, having profound love and having deep love and unconditional love for someone, where you would sacrifice yourself basically, when it says that, you know, Jesus sacrificed and died on the cross for all of us. When they did also show that Mac's daughter Missy had like a mark on her hand from like when Jesus was nailed to the cross or whatever. But basically I thought that stood for like all the pain and the suffering that each of us could be marked from as well, because we have some of us have traumatic lives, and we go through traumatic incidents in our life that some of us make it through and some of us don't make it through. You know, some people get on drugs, some people become killers, murderers, or vindictive, or they just completely lose their mind when a tragedy happens that is so unbearable that you feel like you can't get through it. So basically that's what I thought with that. So he passed like that test and was like, now is this a test? And then, you know, she was also asking him about judgment. You judge everybody else, you judge people on the color of their skin. Basically I thought they was talking about race, that see, the lady that you probably thought God was white, but she's actually black, and you know, and her name is Alusha, or you can call her Papa if you want to, and she goes by many names, like they said Jesus go by many names or whatever. So basically I was thinking from that, like, okay, talking about letting go, judging people for this and judging people for that. And Mac did a lot of judging out through his life, and basically telling certain people to let go of your hatred and your judgment of everyone. And so Mac, let's put you in God's place where you can judge. So you judge whether your daughter or your son goes to heaven or hell by their behaviors, because each of them can be punished because of their judgment. I mean, because of their behaviors, like the son acting up and lying, the daughter being mouthy and lying as well and being defiant. Or, you know, and then Mac was not able to judge, and basically showing like it's so difficult for God to judge. How can God do all this judging on each and every individual, basically, and making it seem like maybe it's unreal for that to happen. Basically I thought they was throwing that out. So if you're a religion person or whatever, and you have a deep religion, that right there would throw you off from the movie. And so, as well as him saying that, okay, should you know, Mac's father go to hell because he was beating his wife and he was drinking and beating his son or whatever. But so, and then Mac was like, yeah, he should go to hell and he should be judged. But then it was like, but where did he pick up that behavior from? And so if you punish him, you got to punish the person that taught him that behavior. So basically I was thinking that it was talking about generational curses, like, you know, sometimes families have generational curses where things are just terrible for each generation and some way, shape, or form. And it could be anybody basically, which could have a generational curse or whatever. Basically I thought they were trying to say that as well, or they was trying to say that if you can't punish this person for this because they learned this behavior from that. So basically you just have to forgive. So basically I was thinking about slavery as well, You know, like, you're different from your father, so you kind of broke the generational curse or whatever. And you breaking the curse yourself by forgiveness and understanding that there's some people that are going to be here and some people that are not going to be here, but you can't judge everybody because of this, because there's a circumstance that caused that type of behavior, which goes back in the beginning, which could be the cause and the effect. It's cause and effects of as below, so high. I can't fucking get that quote. So there's a cause and effect for everything. Since this person was abused and mistreated and went through this and they were taught this is why they did this and did that. Like, you can say with the war, because, you know, Mac was questioning about what about all the war and the suffering and whatever, and it was like, you know, and I think Sirian was like, you know, we can't control all that. People do the shit that they want to do because they have free will while they're here or whatever. That's what I was picking up. I could be totally off as well. Like, I'm not saying that what I'm saying is like factual and actual. I'm thinking about TLC. I got a little bit of notes. The movie was mad long. I watched it this morning, and basically it was about the path that Mac was going to take, and the path that he can take to forgive and to forget what he has learned, to basically to clear yourself, to clear your soul, to clear your body from all the things that you've been taught to do, and learn on your own, become who you are as a person and not what was taught to you. Basically, I was just thinking about, like, say, like myself, I grew up in Baptist Christian religion. Like, now, say if I didn't grow up in Baptist or Christian religion or any religion at all, what religion would I choose, or would I be religious? Basically, I was thinking that, like, because you know how people take their kids to church and stuff like that, or give them tell them this is the right religion to go to. You need to. This is what's been handed down to us for generations. So you got to do the same thing too as well. So I was thinking that, and then, you know, when they said I'm Sophia or whatever. I think Sion said that or whatever. So when the Sophia came up, I was thinking of Sophia, the deity of wisdom, basically, but not judging, basically, just wisdom and knowledge. And, you know, I guess, you know, Max saying that he wished that he was dead, and he believed God is not good as well, because if God is good, why did he let my daughter get kidnapped and whatever could have happened to her? And like I said, the wars and people suffering, homelessness, people addicted to drugs, people on drugs, people selling drugs, fake doctors, just a lot of bullshit, basically. And she was saying to him, you can't judge, just live your life and do what you need to do for you and your family. Basically, save what's close to you, because you can't save the world, but you can save the people that are in your life and the people that you have unconditional love for, basically. So that's what I was thinking, and I was also putting together, like, you know, the pastors in the church or the deacons or whatever, they can't go out and save the world, so they just save their flock inside the church. I was just picking up a whole lot of things, like things was just coming into my head or whatever. And basically there was so basically that was it, and there was, like, you know, I guess Mac, he passed the test, and it was like, you know, you need to go home and you need to help your wife Katie, because she's in a lot of pain, your kids are in a lot of pain. So basically the lessons that he has learned by being with these three gods, which are one that could possibly be one, but they all stand for different things, and then nature, earth, the water, all this other stuff, that there's something outside of you, there's something else outside of you that can help you with your pain and with your suffering, but you have to let go. You have to be willing to heal and not judge not say, woe is me, whoa, why is this happening to me, why is that happening to me, how come this is happening, oh my God. Because, like, you know, the old saying goes, I was crying one day because I had no shoes, but I turned around and I met a man with no feet, basically. So I was picking up that, like, I was picking up all types of, it was like collusion. It was like an illusion movie, basically. And I didn't have a good copy of it either. That sucked too. So basically, you know, then, you know, I believe Matt, he meets his father, they have forgiveness. So when he's able to cleanse his inside out, basically, then he goes under the water, which, like, salt water is supposed to clean you, supposed to cleanse your aura, cleanse all this other stuff. That's why people get baptized. You're supposed to be baptized in the name of God or whatever. Same thing with the salt water. So he was being cleansed, he was cleaning his inside, and he was able to search deep inside of him to forgive his father, which his father was on the other side, wanted his forgiveness so his father could move forward in his journey on the afterlife. But he couldn't really move forward because his son had so many tears, and his tears were being collected by this lady job that collects the breath, or Sirion. So basically, you know, So once he forgave his father, when he came up in the vision or whatever, his father was able to descend and move on in his afterlife or whatever. But he was holding on to his father in that pain, so his father couldn't, I guess, experience whatever he needed to experience on the other side of in the spiritual world or in death or whatever. And so that's why it was a whole jar of tears that they had, because he was holding on to so much pain. So he had to let that pain go so he can let the goodness come inside. And he won't judge the world as being so bad, because it's just things that are supposed to happen, things that are gonna happen that we have no control over. Just like you have no control over this, Mac, and that, God as well too doesn't. And people will say, well, then why do all these things happen? Why they have terrorists and bombs? And why do people go on suicide missions? And then why do people shoot up their schools? Why was there slavery? Why are people being incarcerated that are innocent? So basically, I guess them people supposed to be, that's supposed to happen because you can't control them, but you can control what's in front of you, basically. That's what I was picking up from it. I don't know. So anyways, for Mac to stop blaming God and all the other good stuff, basically. So his father was able to move forward, and she was just telling him that it wasn't his father's fault because he suffered too as well with abuse. So usually, like, when someone is an abuser, they was abused as well. So anyways, and then, you know, basically his father represented his ancestors, and his ancestors that was there. So his ancestors wanted him to forgive what has happened so he can move forward and when he descends, I guess he can be more powerful or whatever. I don't know. So anyways, and so Mac, you know, was feeling, so he felt the forgiveness or whatever, and his father cried. I guess she collected the father's tears as well, but it didn't show it. So then it showed while this was all going on, Mac had the ladybug in his hand, and he was kind of crushing it. So now he has good luck, he has healing, he can able to move forward, he's a part of nature. And then they also show him his daughter, and a vision of his daughter on the other side playing with hundreds of kids maybe or whatever. And so Mac was like, do she see me? And then Sirion was like, no, she doesn't see you, but she knows that you're there. And I was picking up from that, like, you know, sometimes when you feel like someone that you know has descended from this earth, that you feel like they're there or they are around, or you can feel their spirit or something, or you have some type of deja vu that reminds you of that. So basically I was thinking that was going on with his daughter, and she blew a kiss because she did know he was there, and he felt good about it. And then, you know, Sirion was telling him that, you know, she's safe, she's happy, whatever, blase and a third. And it seemed like the daughter was in nature, and the sun playing, and the sun was showing, so you could think about the sun goddess and all that other good stuff. And the movie came. So anyways, so I guess then after that, you know, Mac kind of like, it shows that him having a vision of waking up, and he's with this Native American guy from Twilight. He was one of the fathers in Twilight of the wolf son or whatever. So he comes. When I saw him, I thought of shaman, I thought of nature, I thought of openness, forgiveness, because, you know, the Indians and Native American, how they became hostages, how they shared their land, how they believe in going out into the nature, and they survive on nature, and they live on a reservation basically. It almost seemed like they was on a reservation as well. So he was a shaman. he could also been Obatala, and then seeing that part, and then it was like, oh, you know, we got to do this, you know, get his daughter Missy or whatever. And so they got Missy and picked up her body, and she was wrapped in white. Made me think of like healing, peace, God, Obatala. You could say Yagmat, you could say Aura, you can say the African powers as well. You can say Zeus, you can say Venus. You could say so many things that it stood for. And then on top of that, when they wrapped the daughter in the white sheet, almost like if she was mummified, you can say from the Egyptian culture that they mixed that in, that she was wrapped up in the white sheet. Purity, basically she was pure, she didn't do anything on this earth or whatever. And then I think it was like cherry wood or mahogany wood from the trees that were growing outside, so it was like a sacred type of casket as well. And it looked like a tomb, and they put her in. Then they throw plants and like herbs from like the Garden of Eden. Oh, and also like the Garden of Eden that they showed, then after, like when they showed the big picture of the garden, it had it going around and around like that in like circles, like almost a maze, but like in thick pieces. Had me think of when they say and the book of Revelation, his hair was white like wool, that they were showing like the black people's hair, like it curls, and that's why it's thick, and it's almost, and it looks like DNA, you know. And it had me think of that as well. And then it had me think of Henrietta Lacks, how her DNA is immortal and being used, and it's like in the shape of DNA cells, basically. That's what I saw when they were showing the upper view of the Garden of Eden, if it was the Garden of Eden or whatever. So anyways, they put the so then as they're doing a ceremony, to me it was like a ceremony, we're sending the daughter to eternal lasting life, like a happy life, where so she didn't bring any of the pain from this earth into her afterlife. I was starting to think of that. And that's why they was putting the herbs, because the herb represents different things of healing. Then when Sirion, the tear lady, poured all the tears on top of the daughter, basically sending her off to the sin, but in a righteous way, and a way where she's not carrying any baggage or any negativity or any luggage with her. And his tears were pure now, and he was pure, and there's no pain, but she will have a memory of who she is and where she came from. Had me think of that as well. And so there was a lot of shit going on. But anyways, that was my take of different things. And like, say if you read this book right here, let me see if the camera could see it, will give you some insight on the movie. I'm not going to read this book because of the movie or anything like that. And this book here, if you want to do like translations, I don't know, let's see. If you wanted to like translate which actual character they were talking about, which in this book as well. And there's another book, Wayne Chandler. I can't find that book, the name of it, that had a lot to do with the movie as well. So anyways, that's my review on the movie. Nothing I think is factual. I'm not trying to tell anybody not to be in this religion or that religion or anything like that. I'm just dissecting the movie and the emotion the movie inflict when I watched it, and what I thought when I seen it. Basically, that's it. And thanks to the subscriber that, you know, led me to the movie. I appreciate it. I don't know if you want me to say your name. If so, I will give you a shout out. Peace.